Welcome to our series special, a unique segment of Narratives and Nightcaps, the book club podcast where we dive into the details of a book series, pair it with a nightcap, and leave a book review. Maybe also sometimes sneeze. I'm Jordan.
I'm Megan.
And I'm Emily. We almost got it.
You doing okay over there?
I'm good. I'm so sorry. That came out of nowhere. So,
All good.
Gotta love when that happens. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm super excited to talk about today's book for the series special, Holy Toledo. Okay, so ladies, we are covering The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman, the third book in the Thursday Murder Club series. Before we go ahead and dive into that, Emily, what are we pairing with this book? What are we drinking?
A Pinot Noir, and I am so excited about this one. I know, listeners, I can't show you all the picture of the label on this, so just work with me on this. But we're going to pair this with a Ketchum Estates Russian River Pinot Noir. Emphasis on Russian because there is an ex-KGB agent in this book. So
Victor.
that, of course, had to be a...
Victor.
Yes, exactly. To be the pairing. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting about this wine and this pairing is when Mark Ketchum bought the vineyard in 2000, one thing that he was adamant about keeping were the original Pinot Noir vines on the property. It was one of the few things that he kept when he took over the winery. And those Pinot Noir vines were planted in 1973 and have been thriving ever since and producing fruit and go into making this Russian River Pinot Noir. And I thought that was a nice kind of nod to the fact that, you know, the age of all of our main characters is they're not spring chickens anymore. And so kind of a nice fun nod that these are older Pinot Noir grapes, but just as delicious. I also already mentioned the Russian River nod to the ex-KGB agent that, you know, makes an appearance, one of Elizabeth's buddies that comes in on this story, which I thought was fun. And then there's two pieces on the label that stood out to me. One is there's a big heart on the label that I thought was kind of a nice nod to Ron's love life in this book. That just I loved that part, but it was really sweet. And then there is a mask on the label as well, which I thought was a nice symbol of the duplicity, like not everybody is what they seem. The twist at the end about like who and what happened to Bethany is like kind of played into that mask for me. Both are smooth, layered, quietly dramatic, and just a perfect pairing for this twisty little mystery.
Cheers.
Well
that is
done.
fantastic. I love it.
Thanks.
Solid choice. I mean, yeah, that's a pretty important and bold move. Sorry, I'm thinking about the point you shared, keeping the original vines. I mean, that probably had to have been a pretty risky but important move from a business.
Well, it's interesting because you could ask an actual sommelier and they would tell you like all the huge facts on this, but you know, wine or grape producing vines that are used for winemaking usually don't mature until at least 5 years after they've been planted. So if you are looking at planting new vines, you have to you won't see a return on that until years in the future.
Sure.
So there's a trade-off of like, okay, you keep the older vines and then you just replace one or two, you know, as you go forward as they no longer produce, versus like putting in everything new and then you're in the red for, you know, years. It's fascinating. I think we could spend an entire podcast on like how wineries make these decisions, but it makes for really good wine.
Very cool. Solid choice for this one. Well, I am itching to hear what all of you thought of this one. Let me go through the plot summary and the setup real quick, and then we'll kind of go through some initial thoughts and talk about some themes of the book, as well as some new characters that entered the chat, which I thought was really interesting. So I am going to start our setup with a quote from the book because I just thought it was very fitting. Very few things are so important you would risk your life for them, but all sorts of things are important enough to risk somebody else's life. It's just another ordinary Thursday, and things should finally be returning to normal. Except trouble is never far away where the Thursday Murder Club is concerned. A decades-old cold case leads them to a local news legend and a murder with no body and no answers. Then a new foe pays Elizabeth a visit. Her mission? Kill or be killed. As the cold case turns white hot, Elizabeth wrestles with her conscience and a gun, while Joyce, Ron, and Ibrahim chase down clues with help from old friends and new. But can the gang solve the mystery and save Elizabeth before the murderer strikes again? And credit to Storygraph for that setup as well. What were our initial thoughts on book 3? What were ratings? What were thoughts? Who wants to share first?
I'll go. I feel like they just keep getting better. Like, honestly, I just like the second book I thought was phenomenal. The first book, obviously great. Second book, phenomenal. Third book, I'm like, give me more. Now I need to read number 4 and then eventually number 5 when it comes out.
I think it's coming out in September. Yeah.
Is it? Well, shoot,
I think so.
Order that. So yes, I just keep loving it. Do you guys remember our predictions from last time? None
No.
of that came true.
It's true. Oh, I'm trying to remember. What did we? Oh, shoot.
So I for sure we were like, oh, Lance is gonna come back. Lance never came back.
No.
Lance is in the wind. Lance is gone.
And then what did we think? Oh, Connie, what her mission, which we were kind of right on that, if we remember what we talked about.
We thought
for sure she was going to be the one with the bullet that missed, if you will, but was not the case.
That's right.
No.
Actually had little to do with Connie at that moment, at least.
Yeah, this is very true.
Mm-hmm. I'll echo, Megan, what you're saying is like, I feel like they get better and better. This one I loved. I keep finishing these books thinking like, there's no other like twists or things that can come, and then they just keep coming, and I love every second of it. I wrote a couple notes like as I was listening to this on audiobook. At the very beginning, I don't know if this was one of our predictions from last time or not, but I loved the scene with Bogdan and Donna on a date playing laser tag. And like just that visual for me, because this was like in the first couple chapters, right? That visual of Bogdan going in to play laser tag. And apparently there was a kid's party there. And he goes like, hiding is part of fighting. Good for kids to learn early. I was like cracking up at this image, and it stuck with me that I was like, that just set off the book. It was great. I also love Bogdan and Donna together so much. That was just like, oh, love it.
So good.
And I just like that Bogdan keeps coming back. That he's been since book 1.
I feel like he's become like this adopted son for the group almost. Like he's their muscle, but like he's much, much more than that.
Oh yeah.
I also love how matter of fact he is. Like I think at one point Elizabeth, and we'll get into this, Jordan, when we kind of go through the plot. When Elizabeth and Stephen have to get back to Cooper's Chase, and it's like 2 a.m, and she stops at the payphone and like calls Bogdan, and he's like, doesn't even ask questions like, hello? Yes, I bring you car. I be there in 2 hours. Like, it's just like as if she had called to go get ice cream at 2:00 in the afternoon. Like, yes, of course I'd be right there. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. No, 100%. Oh, I know. I love, and all I'm saying is there better be more of Bogdan and Donna in book 4 for sure. I think that's a great segue actually into kind of talking about some of the developments of relationships in this book. So, sorry. Actually, Emily and Bree, you didn't get to share your thoughts. Are you kind of along the same lines as Megan? Did you have anything you wanted to add as far as, what about you, Bree? Because I think Emily shared a little bit.
2 thumbs up.
No, I think I'm very much on the same page. I think I mentioned this in the last episode. Like, I was kind of nervous because I was like, how do you top like the excitement that was book 2? And
sure.
Well, I mean, he did. Like Richard Osman 100% did. So I like loved, I don't know. I just love how the characters are evolving. Like Elizabeth is still one of my favorites. Joyce, her like her journal entries and everything, I feel like they can never get any better, and then they always do. Like she's just
Oh, they're
always,
gold.
yeah, always making
Gold.
me laugh. And I love Bogdan and Donna, but I also, like you were saying, like I love Bogdan and Elizabeth and Steven, and just like how they all communicate, how he watches over Steven, and maybe we can talk about that at the end and what happened near the end with some of that. And I have different nerves heading into book 4 related to all of that, but I loved it. I thought it was like so enjoyable. Love having these characters back, and I also really liked the new characters. I've liked some of the new people that were introduced this time.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was kind of where I wanted to go with just the relationship sort of theme. So we kind of talked a little bit about Donna and Bogdan. If anybody wants to add a little bit more on that, they can. I wanted to talk about Ron and Pauline because I think they're excellent and I love them. So, listener,
I have to say,
go ahead.
and maybe Megan, you're in the same boat. I was initially very suspicious of Pauline.
Yes.
Oh,
I
there
was
were a
like,
couple
Rose
of
knows
turns.
something, and she's not telling us. 'Cause
Yes,
she's all like,
So like that's the thing is I
Yes.
was suspicious of her like the whole book,
Yep.
not even initially. Like the whole
Yeah.
book I was suspicious of her, and she was keeping secrets technically.
Yes.
Like that's why she
Oh
was
yeah.
but it was okay. Like I thought, I was like, it's her. It's her. I was on the page of like, nope, that it was her, and it didn't end up being her.
or like, I thought for sure, because after we learned more, I was like, well, maybe she's the one like sending the nasty grams to her, like all the mean notes that Bethany was getting, and then what's her face was getting after. Why can't I think of what her name was? The other one who now-
Fiona.
Fiona.
Yes.
Fiona.
And so I was like, it's got to be her. Like, if she wasn't the murderer, then she was doing at least something to like force the hand of the murder. And then turns out even that wasn't true.
Oh my god.
I will say the two scenes with Pauline that, like, I took kind of notes on that I loved. One was when she was in the grave painting the bullet hole on Victor's face.
So
And then
good.
both Victor and Elizabeth like corrected her that
Yes.
she had initially made an entry wound and she needed to make it an exit wound. And just that like visual to me of this makeup artist that clearly has not done bullet holes for TV, like in TV, her line of work. It's like correcting makeup to make an entry wound an exit wound. I was cracking up.
So
then the
for
second
no, yeah, go ahead. What was your second
I'd say
one?
second one was when she got Ron to get a massage.
Oh, I
And
know.
like he walked away, his whole internal dialogue about the massage, and then he walked away like, I don't hurt, like completely surprised.
That was very
those were
good.
two of my favorite like Pauline moments in the book.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no. So good. I totally agree. So for context, listener, because if you haven't read the book along with us, you're probably like, grave painting bullet hole, what's happening? So we have the Russian former KGB spy Victor came into the picture. He is one of I was a little confused on whether or not he was he was a former lover of Elizabeth's, right?
Well, that's in his perspective he was, but I feel like Elizabeth is like, yeah, maybe I slept with him, maybe I didn't. I don't really know.
It wasn't. Yeah, I was like, I'm confusified. I'm not really sure.
Didn't he say too that like Elizabeth was one of the greatest loves of his life?
Yeah.
Then he almost started like describing things.
Yes.
It was
Yeah.
too good.
I died
Yeah.
laughing at that, and everyone's like, "Whoa, stop!"
So early on in the book, listener, Elizabeth is basically being like blackmailed or harassed by what we find out, this person called the Viking. The Viking wants Elizabeth to kill Victor, and otherwise, if she doesn't kill Victor, he's going to kill Joyce. So they end up staging his death, essentially, like, oh yeah, okay, she did it, but she really didn't, kind of a thing. And that's where Pauline comes in and is painting the bullet hole whatever. Now, that was another kind of interesting twist or turn. How did we feel about Henrik, the Viking? As we're talking about like new characters and we're talking about relationships and stuff.
I mean, he's just a big baby, it turns out.
It did seem like a
Like,
bit of a
he just, he was one of those characters, though, that I was kind of like, what was really the point of him other than to like get Victor into the picture for them, you know? I
Yeah.
mean,
Was he cute,
was
not
useful.
critical?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I feel like toward the end of the story, like once we started doing more of like the unraveling the cryptocurrency and like the whole chain of events that was actually tied into Bethany,
Yeah.
I feel like he was important then, but even that, like, yeah, maybe cute, not critical kind of
Not
guy.
critical. He kind of reminds me of somebody that at the end of the book, Elizabeth would like pat on the head and be like, there, honey. Like, I got it.
Right.
You know?
Like,
Yeah.
clearly not the next Bogdan by any means.
Oh, no.
No.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Not even close.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. No, those were some big like new characters that came into the scene, but then okay, well, so we're kind of we've talked about relationships sort of bouncing around a little bit. I could have used a little more Chris and Patrice in the book.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I was happy with the appearances that they made, but it definitely seemed like Richard Osman's focus was bringing more development of Donna and Bogdan's relationship and their characters, because Donna seemed to be sort of more frontline this book than Chris was. So I don't know. I'll be interested.
If I had to pick, I would want it that way.
Oh, I'm not mad about it either. Yeah, no, I agree. I'm curious what his role will be, I guess, with that knowledge going into book 4.
I mean, maybe it's just because, like, they're doing great and they're happy and things are going swell. Whereas,
I
like,
could see him retiring.
yeah. Whereas,
Book
like,
4.
I mean, Donna and Bogdan, it was still, like, even newer. And, I mean, there is, like, that element that kind of came more through in the, through in the end of, like, the fact that she doesn't necessarily trust him. Or she didn't until he was like, you have to trust me. And then and even that, it was like she needed the answers first. And she sort of had this revelation of like, okay, I guess I do have to trust him. Whereas like Chris and Patrice are just like, we're good. Things are going great.
I also think that
go ahead, Emily.
that this murder story too wasn't as, like in the other 2 books, there was, I hate to say like a fresh body, right? But there was, the police were more actively involved, and there was that like tension between the Thursday Murder Club and Chris and Donna, who were like kind of working together, but like not working together. And because this was almost completely a cold case, it kind of made sense that Chris was more in the background. Like there wasn't that same tension as much.
I was going to say the same. Sorry, Brie. I was going to say the same thing, Emily. I feel like in general, Chris and Donna were like a huge step back in this book.
Yeah.
Period.
Yes.
Like, there was not
100%
much from them. I mean, other than like a couple things of input here and there, but otherwise they certainly were not the forefront of this story.
No.
Brie, go.
Did anyone actually think Bethany was dead?
Yes.
Yeah, for a little bit. I don't. Okay, yeah. So remember, listener, we are spoiler friendly, not spoiler free. So we're just gonna talk about it. I legit want to say maybe like 65%, 75% of the way through, I started questioning.
That was the same.
I was like, I don't know. I'm not 100% certain. I'm still kind of thinking maybe she's dead, but then I was like, maybe she's not. So, listener, the case in this book is Bethany Waits. She was this anchor, this very public figure in Kent, this local area, and essentially her car goes off a cliff and she's presumed dead. no body found, and suspicion was that there was another person in the car with her. It was all these different things, right? So this is the case. Here's the new characters that are coming into play as well, right? We had Pauline, which was one of the makeup artists on set with her from the television organization, whatever. And then there's Mike Waghorn, which we'll talk about him. Sweet Mike Waghorn. I liked him. I don't know that did anybody else ever suspect him at any given point in time?
Not really. I feel like I felt that he was genuine the whole way through.
Yeah.
I sort of did too. I sort of did too. And there was a really sweet chapter as well, listener, if you read, where Mike talks about his friendship and his relationship with Bethany. He really liked Bethany a lot. He was a gay man in, public communities. He had a really hard time being able to embrace himself, right? Accept himself and even coming out. And I loved that story, that part of the story. I thought that was very good. That was well written and super sweet.
I thought it was sweet. I'll just add to that, Jordan, because I think this adds, and again, spoiler friendly, when every year on the anniversary of Bethany's death, he gets an email from a no reply email that's just the single red rose emoji. And like when it all came out, I'm just going to say it, right? That's Bethany that had like escaped, right? And she just every year acknowledges that friendship. That was a really poignant like reciprocation, because we heard a lot about like Mike's, relationship and view of it with Bethany, and then the fact that every year since she sent just this one email was really touching.
I did suspect Fiona a lot. Like a lot. So listener, Fiona is another news anchor that kind of comes in. There was a lot of competition between Bethany and Fiona. There were like hate notes. There was like just a lot of different things happening between these two women, and they were very much pitted against each other. I mean, I thought Elizabeth sort of treated her like a suspect a little bit too. I don't think, I think at one point when Joyce and Bethany kind of go and confront her, oh my gosh. Okay, now that was a fun part of the book. When they go to her show on site and Elizabeth faints, right? Like she, oh yeah, oh, I'm an old woman, poor me. And here's Joyce kind of like needing to like catch along to the whole like, Joyce, don't you understand? You're going to get to meet Fiona. And she gets all like excited and all these different things. And I don't know. I thought, anyway, from that questioning, from that interrogation too, I was like, I think Elizabeth suspects Fiona's role in it a smidge too. But
in Elizabeth's defense, though, I think for her, everyone is a suspect until they're proven otherwise. Like
she was following a lead.
That investigator mentality at all times. Like I'm sure even within the group, because in the past they've always put themselves on the suspect list. Like book 1, they were like, well, we can't rule ourselves out. We have to put all of us in. So everyone is a suspect for Elizabeth.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is too funny. So yeah, there's. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I mean, to support that too, like even she doesn't like any loose ends.
Yes.
So like, and that book showed that here at the end too, of like, if there's any sort of loose end or something's not making sense, like she doesn't let that go away. She has to tie all of them.
Right. Yeah. No, that is so true. And then let's talk about, okay, so another character that kind of comes in, and this will also bring Connie Johnson back into the chat a little bit too. We'll talk about Heather Garbett for a second. So Heather is a new character that comes in. She is working for Jack Mason. Jack Mason is also kind of another new character that comes in. I'm dubbing him kind of the smarmy weasel of the book, to be completely honest. It's obviously tied between him and Andrew Everton. I don't know. That's a hard one. But just know that these are like all kind of questionably morally gray people who do a lot of shady things. So Ibrahim enlists Connie because we know that Connie is in jail, and Ibrahim asks Connie to get kind of some recon, if you will, or get some information if she can from this Heather Garbett, who may or may not know essentially kind of what happened to Bethany. And this is sort of where the
Jordan,
rabbit hole goes. Yes.
I'm going to jump in with a prediction for book 4.
Do it.
I should say a want slash prediction. I want more of Ibrahim and Connie as therapist and patient, or
Okay.
therapist and client. Like, I want that to continue, and I think it will in book 4. I hope. I don't know if I think or I hope, but I want more of it.
It was very well written, wasn't it? I thought so.
It was just so I could picture it. Like, I think that's the thing about these books that I love so much is like I can picture these scenes that just have me like, they warm my heart, they make me laugh, they're great. But Ibrahim and Connie paired up together in this like dynamic, it was gold, absolute gold.
So good. And the reality of it too, right? Ibrahim as this therapist telling her the things that she needs to hear, but she may not necessarily want to hear. Like, even just confronting her about the fact that, like, you do realize the things you're talking to me about indicate you actually have a heart. You actually do have a soul. You care about people. And it's so hard for her to stomach these things. It's so hard for her to come to this realization. And he literally is like, listen, I don't have to do this. We can stop at any time, kind of a thing. If you don't want me back, tell me you don't want me back. Otherwise, same time next week. And she's like, yeah.
For
Yeah.
his going rate too.
Something
Like their price haggling was kind of funny. Like for
Yes.
his standard rate, not anything more. Just sorry, I took you off guard, but I'm gonna
No.
plant my flag in that one. That
I'm glad. No,
Yeah.
I'm really glad that you did. Because even talking about Heather Garbett, then bringing it back to her, just a little bit of a trigger warning as well. We find out later, because originally when Heather Garbett is found dead, we presume that she was murdered. Come to find out towards the end that she was not. She did actually commit suicide, and that was really, really sad. I kind of didn't see. I'm not sure that I saw that one coming. We didn't get a whole lot of Heather, is the thing. So
She was, for me though, she was one of the more tragic. I mean, obviously, but the tragic characters in this book. When we get her whole story, that she basically was blackmailed into taking the fall. Essentially,
Yes.
I mean, she was guilty, but that she like had this hanging over her head.
Yes.
And then ended up, because she was almost on parole, I thought.
Yeah, I think she was close to like and being done with her
Oh,
sentence.
to getting out. You're
To
right.
getting out. Yeah.
Mhm,
And then
mhm.
like, so she just was one, that was a hard, obviously very sad and tragic
Yeah.
part to read.
Yeah.
A little maybe unpopular opinion, but I was also really sad when Jack Mason ended up dead because I thought he and the boys had like a good thing going, and I was so excited for them to have
Okay,
that.
now that scene was definitely very interesting. We can jump and talk about that. I'm not gonna
Yes.
say I was more sad for Heather for sure than I was Jack. I'm sorry. I didn't really care. But RIP to you both. Jack, Victor, and Ron. Okay, can we talk about that scene? Because
My
I mean,
takeaway from that scene is that I need to learn how to play snooker or whatever
okay, so
it
is
is.
this a version of pool? I had to
I
Google it.
had to Google it. It's a version of pool. I have to learn and become proficient because those scenes were awesome.
They were
Is
great.
snooker, sorry, because I have not Googled it, but does it have like pegs in the middle of the board? Like, is
No,
it
it's a
smaller?
pool. It's a
Okay.
billiard board. Like, it's like a pool table.
Yeah. Because there's a game my grandparents used to have in their basement, and it was like almost like an octagon table, and you had red balls and white balls, and there were like pegs in it, and you would still use like a pool
Oh.
stick, but I don't remember what that's called. So for some reason I made that tie, but I don't know what that is. Listener, if you know.
Yeah, but
Oh, just
really,
kidding. We are on
I'm
a
like,
phone line.
I'm looking at it, and I mean, it just looks like traditional. I mean, there are probably, I mean, there might be different rules.
Hold on. Okay. Snooker is played on a larger table, typically 12 feet, with smaller pockets and smaller balls, 52.5 millimeters in diameter to be exact. Pool is played on a smaller table, 7 to 9 feet, with larger pockets and larger balls, 57.2 millimeters diameter. Snooker balls, 15 red balls, 6 colored yellow, green, brown, blue, pink, and black, and a white cue ball. Pool balls vary depending on the pool game, according to billiards.com. And this is all from Google AI.
There you go. Gotta love it.
But game plan strategy so that you all can get ahead on this.
Yes.
Snooker is a more strategic game requiring precision and positional play. Players aim to score points by pocketing balls in a specific order, with the red balls scoring 1 point each and colored balls having varying point values. Defense and setting up the table for future shots are crucial. Pool emphasizes offensive play and quick decision making.
Okay.
This is making more sense now. Players aim to pocket the balls in a sequence, often focusing on running out the rack. The break and the subsequent ball layout heavily influence the game's flow.
Okay.
Okay, so I also Googled what I was thinking about, and that is truly billiards, where it's a set of red balls, a set of white balls, and then there's like bumpers in the table.
And this is also different from pool?
Yes.
Different from pool and different from snooker.
There's no shortage of games out there, friend.
Who knew that you could do so much with a stick and a ball?
And a table.
And a table.
The ideas are endless. And on that note, so the conversation that they have, though, I mean, I feel like is just, I thought it was very well written. So if I'm remembering the conversation correctly, Ron and Victor are kind of interrogating Jack a little bit. He's sharing about this business partner that he had and, you know, how he was laundering money and doing all of these things. Also, okay, side note on money laundering, though, like, I understand it. And at the same time, I don't.
Oh, yeah, I'll admit I do not understand it.
And
The
my
way
husband,
things were
God
described,
bless
I was
him,
like,
my husband, God bless him, has attempted to explain this to me multiple times. And I'm like, that's great for you. I'm so, so happy that you understand this.
As someone who's watched like 5 seasons of Animal Kingdom, I feel like I should be an expert, and I'm not.
And I'm not. I don't know.
I thought it was interesting. I do not know anything. I mean, clearly we are all law-abiding citizens, but or are we? But no, I think as I was reading it, what was interesting is when Elizabeth and Joyce went to Joyce's daughter and her like firm to do the background search,
Right.
and their comment that because this scheme had been going on for decades, so it was watertight, right, at like present day. But when they went all the way back to the beginning, it was the mistakes made at the beginning when it was smaller amounts that they were able to find the connection. I just thought that was an interesting, like, if you're trying to track down a money launderer, go back to the beginning.
Yeah, and I think that if I'm not mistaken, Jack or another one of the characters talks about that. You have to, yes, follow the trail, but if you get to the source, if you get to where it started, obviously, like that's
more.
Sounds way too complicated for the time lifestyle that I would choose.
I am not about it. So in the yes. Okay, sorry. So yes, in that same conversation, they're trying to figure out Jack Mason's role in Bethany's downfall, in Bethany's death, what have you. So Jack is telling them about his business partner, telling him about these business practices, blah, blah, blah. Did we think that Jack did it?
no, but I was still very much at a point that I 100% thought that we were going to find a body in the backyard.
Mm-hmm.
Like through
Eh,
all of
Yep.
that discussion, I thought for sure that's where the body is, and someone just like pushed the car
Yep.
off the cliff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was sort of there as well. I don't
Because
know.
I feel like I believed Jack when he was like, I didn't kill her, but I know who did. Like, to me, that was enough testimony from him. Because, like, clearly he didn't want to talk, but, like, he was kind of clearing his conscience, if you will, by the end of it. So I feel like when he said that he didn't do it, I didn't feel like he was a suspect. For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Talking again about like just the endless stream of new characters that come in, is this the time, I guess, where Andrew Everton enters the chat? Do we talk about him? So Chief Inspector Andrew Everton, also like wanna be New York Times bestselling writer, author.
That
What?
was so cringe. I'm just gonna say, like,
It was
He
a little
is hilarious.
cringe.
like hilarious, but also I've used the term like secondhand embarrassment, right?
Emily,
When
I was
you
thinking about you with the Catherine
like,
Howard too, because you had
yes,
sent me this. You sent me the Catherine Howard conspiracy, right? Like
yes,
that's
yes,
a different series.
great
And
book,
I
great series.
go ahead,
Yeah,
keep telling the listener. Sorry.
no, it was so funny. So like the what you're talking about, Jordan, is Andrew Everton names his main character Catherine Howard, and this whole crew, the Thursday Murder Club crew, like basically tears into him. Like, isn't that confusing with the queen, the Tudor queen that was a wife of King Henry VIII and died? And like, isn't that going to be confusing? And it's this back and forth that is what I'm going to refer to as like now classic Thursday Murder Club, like questioning.
It's
And
so uncomfortable.
he's just trying to move on with the reading, but I got the sense that he has this feeling like a chip on his shoulder, like I am undiscovered and you are lucky to be in my presence, and just wait until
Oh,
I
he
am
was
discovered.
so cocky and
Like
arrogant.
that kind of little vibe. And I was like, ugh. And I just was like, it was so cringe. And so I loved, a spoiler now, I'm gonna go like way to the end of the book,
Please,
right?
just do it. Yep.
Because he's it. Got him. But the fact that then his books take off simply because he's in jail, he doesn't get to enjoy any of it. I just like, that was a nice little, haha, you got it again.
Yeah, because what she's talking about, listener, is Andrew Everton was behind the entire scam the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
He was the partner Jack Mason was referring to, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
And then bringing in Heather Garbett and Bethany Waits as a news anchor reporter, as a public figure, was doing research, uncovering all of these things, and she was close on his tail. And that is why she then goes to Pauline for help, essentially, to fake her own death. So, yes, listener, Bethany Waits is alive. And now her name is Alice, if I'm not mistaken. And she
Alice
lived.
Cooper.
Alice Cooper.
Was it? Was it Dubai? Is she living in Dubai?
Dubai.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
So there
So
you
I have
go.
a question for the three of you. If you were in Bethany's shoes, would you have taken the money and faked your own death?
Probably. I don't know.
I mean, I guess at that point, yeah, because I'm sure if she was on to them, and we know that Jack Mason is pretty iffy, and we know that Andrew Everton pulls rank, like I'm sure she would have been eliminated eventually by finding it out. So take the money and run, girl, get out of there.
Yeah.
Do what you gotta do.
And I love though, like such a cool plot twist. Like as this investigative journalist, she's clearly done all of her research. She's gotten so deep in there. The men could not follow their own money trail. She was able to follow it and then pay herself from following that money trail. So I'm like, at that point, you kind of earned it. You did all the hard work.
Pretty much.
That's
And then
real.
she comes up with the tip, or wherever she finds it, right? That because her new name is Alice Cooper, that if you pick a famous person's name, if anybody Googles your alias, basically, you're just going to get a bunch of news articles about the famous person.
So
Right.
smart.
So smart. So smart.
What would you so what would your new name be
Oh.
if we were doing this?
Ooh.
What would your new name be?
Well, I'm gonna.
Martha Stewart.
That's not bad. That's not bad. I like
That's
it.
good. That's good.
Taylor
I like
Swift.
it.
There you go.
Oh,
Swift.
that's
Good
that's
choice.
a good one. That's a good one.
I dig it.
Literally, no one would ever find.
You'd never be found.
You would never be
Yeah.
found.
You'd never be found.
Y'all, I might choose Selena Gomez.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. I think I'll do Anne Hathaway.
Oh.
I could see it. I could
Anne.
see it.
Let's
Okay.
go with it, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Bree, would you take the money and run?
So like if it was someone else's life that was like being threatened, I think I potentially would. Like not my own, and that's where I'm initially like once we find out that it was not her,
Yeah.
that was
a
like
huge twist.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was like threatening somebody else and I was smart enough to pull it off, yeah.
There you go.
Ooh, I just realized both of our threats in this book both chose to murder the friend of whoever. So like for Bethany, they wanted to murder Mike. For Elizabeth, they wanted to murder Joyce.
Oh.
What's up with that? What's up with that?
So there you go. Right?
Because of your
that is
quote.
like
It's
more
easier when
motivating.
it's someone else at stake, right?
Yeah.
I think it's more motivating if you're gonna if you're going to hurt the person or a person that they love. I feel like it's more motivating to either get people to do something or for you to take action.
Yeah.
Especially when the friend, like Megan, that's a great call out. In both instances, had no clue, no indication, nothing to do with, did not even know. We're basically just like living their life. Like no, right? That they weren't even involved. That makes it harder.
Oh my gosh. This one was a good one. One thing that we haven't talked about yet, and I think we're actually kind of almost wrapping up. I'm going to double check my notes and make sure I'm not missing anything. What did we think of Stephen's role in this book? Let's talk about him for a minute.
His moment with Bogdan, I wanted to cry my eyes out because I feel like this.
Which moment?
I was about that was my question.
Toward the end when he asks, "Am I okay?" And I guess listener and you guys, I like dementia is in my family. Like my grandma has dementia right now, and she not right now. It's not new. It just she's had it. And like she is starting to get to the point where like she has zero idea of like my brother just saw her yesterday and we were like, did she know who you were? And she's like, nope, I was just probably another friendly face, like kind of things like that. And so to me, like hearing someone who clearly has it, like asking, am I okay? Are things okay? And I was just like, I'm going to bawl my eyes out right now because it's just like it just hits so close to home and it's just such a startling reality that like he has enough clarity for those moments to be like something going on with me and then to realize like you can't really tell him the truth.
No, but then to have the moments with Elizabeth at the beginning, because so listener, if you didn't read, just to give you background on that, like Elizabeth ends up getting attacked, right? Because she's threatened, told that she needs to kill Victor, or Joyce ends up dead. Well, guess what? Stephen was with her when she was kidnapped and attacked. Stephen was with it that entire time. He was locked in. And I found that so interesting because unfortunately, yes, this is kind of the way that some of that works, right? So that's within the first, 25 to 50 pages of the book. You read another 250 pages and he's asking Bogdan, am I okay?
Yeah.
I'm not remembering where Elizabeth is. I don't know this or that, and it is absolutely so sad.
Yeah.
I think Megan, you said it, or Jordan, you might have said it, that the prediction in book 4 with Stephen is a little terrifying.
And the book is called The Last Devil to Die. So
Well,
I don't
But
No one wants to say it out loud.
no.
And also, so like the am I okay? But then did I read this wrong? But like at the end too, when like almost the very end, when Bogdan comes back and then like says something about them playing chess together, and he's like, I don't play, and I was like, oh no.
and he was like, Elizabeth's the chess player or whatever, or like he was like pushing it on her, and I'm like, no, it's you, Stephen.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh.
oh.
Aging just sucks. I tell you what, it just
Yeah.
sucks. Because, well, then, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I almost thought we were going to have a moment of like, I can't think of the movie, where like, oh my gosh, Leonardo DiCaprio, why can't I, oh wow, my brain is not in a great spot. But like the plot twist where like, turns out maybe in Steve, like it was Elizabeth all along. Like, are we going to find out Elizabeth has had dementia and like none of this is real and all this stuff?
Are you talking about Shutter Island?
Yes, thank you. My brain was just not. Yes, I was like, are we going to have a Shutter Island moment right now, or even like Inception, where it's like nothing is what it seems, and Steven's actually the clear one, and I'm like, oh my god.
Listen. I can't with Shutter Island. I'm sorry. I can't.
Never seen it. I can't do that kind of, that just like.
It gave me so much. No, listen,
So,
stop.
here's the thing.
Stop. It gave me so much anxiety. I literally want to vomit even thinking about it, Megan. How dare you bring it up?
Like I can read thrillers and like all sorts of things, but the movie, oh no, nope, can't.
Oh my god, I just like tip my hat to that though, because like the fact that that twist, like now that's like a meme that everybody, when he's like, what the fuck is going on here?
And literally that is how the movie ends. And I remember watching that movie and the movie ending, and I was like, I don't know right from wrong. I don't know up from down. I don't know right from left. I don't know what's true. I don't know what's not true.
I
can't.
Because my day-to-day feels like that, actually. I, like, truthfully, where I'm like, can I trust how I really feel about this situation? Did I read that right? Was I totally wrong? What is actually happening? Like, because my day-to-day feels like that, I just, like, I'm here for it.
Yeah. You're like, I'm living on the island, baby. Here I am.
That would be, Megan, if that twist comes true, like that would be I would probably throw the book. If that, like that would be a throw the book moment. If that came
I don't
true.
know. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, I feel like these are way too gentle and lighthearted to be that. But I was like, if this is what is about to happen in this reading, I am shocked, surprised, everything.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Holy cow, we're gonna have like, it turns out it was all a dream or something, I'm like, oh my god.
Well, that's like Lost.
Turns out Joyce wrote the whole thing. So that crossed my mind.
That just gave me chills.
That crossed my mind. I was like, what if Joyce wrote the whole thing?
There you go.
Yeah,
because she also tries her hand at being a writer.
I was like, what if she wrote the whole thing and like. And some of it was her, I don't know, like incorporating like real journal entries that like led up to her being a writer.
She's the one that's actually.
Was that just me? Okay, that's my prediction.
Everything. So like no one is real.
Okay, but that's like Lost. Did anybody else?
They're based off of like real people, but they're not actually. Real.
Well, but that's like Lost. Did any of you watch Lost? Okay.
I watched some of it until I was like, good gosh, end this freaking show. Like, we have got to wrap this up.
Okay, great. So I don't have to worry about spoiling anything for you because you're not going to go back and watch it, right?
No.
Okay.
And, like, I know how it ends because
okay, perfect.
I was like, I can no longer commit my time and energy to this. I will be finding out how this ended without actually watching the rest of it.
No, but listen, we're coming up to the end of this episode, I promise. But sidebar tangent, because I have to tell this story because it's excellent. So I was in high school. Well, we're all around the same age. So we were roughly around high school when this show came out. And it was one summer before season 4 came out. And this was back in the day. Costco sold those boxed DVD TV sets, right? And my mom and I are at Costco one day and we see Lost seasons 1 through 3 is there at Costco available. And she goes, why don't we watch it this summer? Like, we can make this our summer thing and then we'll be ready for season 4 when it comes out. Listener, Lost had like 6 seasons, I'm pretty sure. So totally did it. We watched the pilot episode, the very, very first episode. First episode ends after the plane crashes. All these things happen. And I kid you not, the very first words out of my mother's mouth, what if they're all dead? And I said, no, Mom, no, absolutely not. There's no way that they're dead. How could they possibly be? No, absolutely not. That doesn't make sense. The creative producing team behind Lost promised us answers. They said that they would clean this all up with a neatly wrapped little bow. Guess what, listeners? Season 6, final episode. They're all dead. You're welcome. Years and time of my life wasted.
Yeah.
It is a wonderful show. Watch it if you must. I'm just saying, yeah. That was rough. But actually bringing it back to Joyce writing. So Joyce starting to write and even like paying tribute even to Jerry, her husband, because she like starts writing these like crime and she makes her husband kind of the inspector, what have you. It gave me Louise Penny vibes. If any of you know the Three Pines series, highly recommend looking up Louise Penny. Megan, this series would be right up your alley. I've only read the first book, but I want to read all of them. Inspector Armand Gamache, Three Pines. It's this Canadian series, absolutely wonderful. But Louise Penny is kind of almost like a real life Joyce Meadowcroft, if you will. She started writing after her husband died, and she says that her male main character, Armand Gamache, is based off of, like, she wrote him in tribute to her husband.
Oh, cute.
Yes. So those were the vibes that I was thinking. Now that Bree has rocked our world with this idea that Joyce is actually the mastermind.
Writing all this.
Listen, I'd be for it. I wouldn't be mad.
I'd be a little sad, but because it's just is such a fun, cozy, happy, I don't know, like trio that I, group 4, that I'd be a little sad, but I wouldn't be upset by it.
Right. That would be, I think it would just be an incredible plot twist.
Yes.
For this
It
whole,
really would be.
Yeah.
Of just like, no one was actually real. They're all just based on her friends that she, had before she, I don't know, got dementia or like moved into a retirement community or whatever. Like, this was just how to cope with being alone or, something like that. Like, that's the ultimate plot twist right there.
This would be the thriller that I never saw coming, because I have a hard time believing that would be the twist, but like I would truly, never see that coming.
Well, and we know that we're not going to get an ending with book 4, right? Because book 5 is coming. So I don't know. True. I actually don't know how many books Richard Osman has planned for the series. That would be something good to research. I'm not sure. The Armand Gamache, the Three Pines series that I was just talking about with Louise Penny, there's like 19 books, 20 books almost. I think that one has been a very long one, but also really, really good. So,
do we know when the 5th one is coming out?
I can. Yeah,
it's funny. I just Googled it. September 25th of this year.
What's it
because
gonna be
Jordan,
called?
The Impossible Fortune.
Okay.
Because
Yes.
Jordan, I was just looking up if there's any like how many books will be in the Thursday Murder Club, and I don't know if there's an answer to that.
Oh.
Like five, but I don't know if he like if the fifth is the last.
It
per se.
says it says 5 of 5.
Oh, okay, then maybe.
I looked it up on Amazon and it's like uh arrives after Father's Day. I'm like, yeah, no shit. It's not out yet. I don't need it
I
right now.
did. Yep, I did pre-order it, so I will definitely be reading it for sure.
Have you guys seen like so I don't when I get a book of a certain series, like I want all of the books to be the same. So if I get them all hardcover, then I want them all to be
Yes.
hardcover.
Yes.
But like the paperback is way more expensive than the hardcover. On Amazon at least. The hardcover is $25, the paperback is 32.
I've seen that in some cases before, which is really interesting. You know what blows my mind with that sometimes too, Megan? Because you know that I'm a Kindle reader.
Mm-hmm.
So I typically sometimes, believe it or not, it blows my mind even when the Kindle version will be more expensive than
actual
the
book?
paperback or
Weird.
the hardcover. And those ones I say hard pass. Those ones I use my library card for, to be
No.
completely honest. Most of the time, the digital copy, the e-copy, the Kindle is the least expensive. Now, to your point too, yes, when I have a series, I typically do want them all in the same. This one, I have all on my Kindle, so that's why I
Yeah.
purchased the Kindle version.
Yeah.
But
I will say it's quite as I'm looking at the Wikipedia, the ever knowledgeable Wikipedia page for Thursday Murder Club. I
Love
didn't
it.
realize that Richard Osman wrote like a book a year. So Thursday Murder Club came out in 2020.
Yeah.
And then The Man Who Died Twice was 21. Bullet That Missed 22. Last Devil to Die 23. Like literally one
He
a
takes
year.
his time. He takes his
Well, I
time.
thought that was going to be fast. I was like, wow, like
It's a pretty typical
you're-
cadence in publishing. Like, and I mean, sort of depending on like who you're publishing with, but they a lot of times will try to set you up for like a book a year.
A book a year. That's to put together the intricacies that go into these mystery stories. He has to have a room with like red string and pictures on the wall and like mapping out these books. I don't know how else you would do it.
Oh my gosh. So crazy. But yes, I think book 5, will be the last one. I'm not sure though. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Who knows? Maybe he'll go for another series after that if he wraps it up with book 5. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking at my notes. I don't feel, are there any details that we feel like I didn't touch on or that we didn't talk about that are important with this one?
Not important, but I like that Kendrick came back.
Same.
Yeah,
It was just
I
cute.
could have had more of him as well, because I feel like he was only in that one conversation with Ibrahim, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, I was happy that he made another
But
entrance.
again, like he was so quick to like, oh, you're tricking me. I see the problem. Like, and he did that in the second book too. I was like,
yeah.
"Dang, kid, you should really be a detective."
So Richard Osman's next series will follow Kendrick.
Oh, good spin-off. Yeah.
Okay. I'm here for it. I'm here for it.
See? Look at that. Bree cracks the case with Joyce Meadowcroft, the mastermind behind the entire operation, and I've got a Richard
Great
Osman.
Joy
I'll
69 cracks me up.
have my people reach out to your people. I'll give you the idea. That's what you
There you
should
go.
do. There you go. That's 2026.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I'm looking. I mean, all the other details, listener, you got to read the series. You got to read this one because it's such great storytelling. I think it's such great writing. Just true definition of cozy mystery vibes and all of the feels, all of the things. So, any updates on predictions then, or anything else that we want to add with the ones that we've kind of brought in here. I feel like in our notes we probably didn't do the best job of keeping track of that. That's also probably on me, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think it's been
I
fine.
think, I think we've done, yeah. I
Yeah.
think, well, Donna and Bogdan is top of the list. I don't even want to mention the prediction about Steven because it's too tragic. So we're just going to leave it unsaid, but it was on all of our faces. And I don't know, that Joyce twist. I don't know how I feel about that. I'm gonna have to think about that long after this recording about
gonna
how
have
I
to
feel
I
on the
about
will
that.
calendar.
predict. I think Chris will ask Patrice to marry him next book.
Oh,
Agreed.
Or
I would
in a
really like
bolder
that.
move, Patrice will ask Chris to marry her.
She does seem like she's got the chutzpah. She's
Yeah.
got
Yeah.
the gumption.
Yeah.
I would not put it past her. I would
Agreed.
not put it past her. That's too funny. Okay. Well, listener, that was The Bullet That Missed by Richard Osman. And tune in next month. It is already going to be July, Holy Toledo. This is series special for June, and we're going into July with the 4th installment in the Thursday Murder Club series, which is The Last Devil to Die. And then we've got exciting content coming to you after that. We will not be covering the 5th book, just leaving you in suspense for what we're going to be doing with the rest of the year. But listener, I know all 4 of us will likely be tuning in to the movie that is going to drop on Netflix in August. Oh my gosh, trailer looks fantastic and I'm super, super excited. So definitely, maybe we'll have to dedicate an episode or something to like that after we watch it and we give our thoughts in comparison. Who knows? We'll
We can
see.
do a bonus app.
Yeah. This is our podcast.
Like it.
We make the rules. We can do whatever we want.
We decide when the
Exactly.
episodes come out. It's
We
all
are
our
basically
stuff.
the Thursday Murder Club. We make our own rules.
Yeah.
I do
Exactly.
wish our episodes normally came out on Thursdays, but a few have every now and then. You know,
The Wednesday podcast
trickled
club.
out.
The
All good, all
Wednesday
good.
Wine and Read Club.
Perfect.
There you go.
We're on something. We're on
But
something.
but until next time, listener, please rate, review, let us know your thoughts. If you're reading along with us, we would love to hear from you. If you have suggestions, please feel free to hit us up with series suggestions. There's just so many books out there, so little time. But of course, be sure to, again, follow the podcast. You can, of course, follow us on Instagram at Narratives and Nightcaps. You can find me personally. I'm on Instagram at Cozy Reads and Sips.
And you can find me at bookstopbottles.
And until next time, my lovely friends, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers.